Sim.bc. Am I right, people? Am I right?
Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where right now is 1820, and it seems like the theme of the week here has been, just in general, social convention, where we've been tackling the different issues of society, trying to really decipher the social coding that keeps the entire society together overall. Some very serious, others that are just bluntly me misunderstanding things all of the time. And we're gonna continue that approach actually. We're gonna talk about the social issue today as well. That's a bit more on the serious side, hopefully not as serious so that I need to put a disclaimer in top in the beginning, but otherwise, if I feel like it, I'm just gonna say right now, in order for me not to hedge all of the time, which I will probably do anyway, so that's just me saying like, oh, maybe, or instead of stating something directly, I might say like, maybe, suggested to, developed, other people have said it, not really taking responsibility for my own actions here. Instead of me saying that all of the goddamn time, which I probably, as I said, will do anyway, I'm just gonna say right now, this is probably going to be a bit of a hedgy video, so that means that things that I will say probably ain't gonna be as direct as I say them to be, okay? So I might say this is how it is. That's probably meant as a suggestion, as this could be the case. Okay, with that out of the way, let's establish some context. You've been probably, if you've been watching the other videos that have been put out over the last week, you've been looking at the guy who is discussing social convention, and just to put some context, as I said, to who that guy is, it's a guy who is currently having about 3 holes in his shirt because I'm gonna go to the gym, that good old thing, because it's important to get that physical exercise to actually work your body so that it can work your mind. Isn't that the case? Also, I was worried about burning my rice that I was boiling. Yeah, I was boiling rice and I was afraid it was gonna catch fire. Now, that could be the case in my own defense, right? Me presenting the problem and me presenting the defense for my own case. It could be the case that it can burn if it goes for a lot of time, for a long while. But for about the 20 minutes that I will record, it will probably not burn the place down, since it's water inside now, wouldn't it? To provide some more context, why not when we're on a roll? I was also considering doing a bit of a mustache. Yeah, I was just, grooming myself, and I was like, why not keep the mustache? And I realized in that sensation when I was done that in order to have a mustache, there's the key thing that you need to have. And what's that, you might ask? Well, a mustache or any form of facial, growth, hair growth, facial hair growth, which I currently lack. So that's a bit about me. Yeah, enough about me. Just so you know how my reasoning is generally going. And today we're going to talk about, let me just take a look at my notes, just because someone isn't like everybody else or act like everybody else, they're generally considered to be dumb, slow, or thick, which unfortunately is the case. Yet again, might just be in the context of my social circle that I've observed this, not that any of my friends are saying like, you're an idiot. Oh well, they actually kind of do, and that's kind of the problem here, even if they're serious or not, right? But we're continuing. And then someone say, and then sometimes the victim in this case, the person who's constantly being called the idiot, embody that spirit. And for instance, the fish. It's bad when your penmanship is so bad so that even though you're typing it on your phone, you don't really know what you said. That's when you know it's really going overboard. Yeah, the fish who thinks it's useless because he can't climb a tree like the monkey can. That good old thing. And then we're probably gonna talk a bit about one of me mates from back home. I'm saying a mate, it's more like an acquaintance. I don't really know who it is, and I don't think that anybody who knows me can pinpoint who this guy is, even though I said he's a guy, so that's something you can go off. Half of the human populace we're talking about that I've been in connection with. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about a specific case as well. But let's get going. Yeah, so the basic problem that we're gonna take up here today is that sometimes just because you do not act like everybody else around you does, you're considered to be thick. You're considered to be an idiot, basically, right? And you've all seen this. This is the reason for a lot of bullying out there. Believe me, I've read the papers. Yeah, I actually did a work quite recently about bullying in the workplace. And usually, apparently, I thought it was all about the complex, some form of complex from the bully's part. But apparently, sometimes it's, or rather, a huge proportion of the times when someone is getting bullied, they're getting bullied because, based on my research, right? Because they're doing something like everybody else is doing, but they're doing it very differently, or they just aren't good at it, and then they're getting picked on, and then this person who's getting picked on all of the time, sometimes instead, or rather a lot of the times, I would argue, but there isn't enough empirical evidence to support this statement. Sometimes, or a lot of the times, these people, instead of fighting back to the repressor, right, to the bully, they're instead taking it as a fact that, oh, I might be slow. Maybe the way that I'm doing things is wrong. Maybe I am useless. Maybe I am really bad. Maybe that's just the way it is, and I have to take that to heart because, well, everybody around me tells me it is like that, and then it doesn't matter, right? And this is crucial and important because I've been a part of this as well. That it doesn't matter if you're serious or not. If you're hearing this all of the time, so for me, for instance, sometimes I'm joking with me mates and telling, ha, that's pretty dumb, why are you doing that? But I've been better at it, so I'm trying to at least consciously, right, tell them that, I'm joking, right? So if you feel like this is a bad approach, then please tell me, because I don't want to be a jerk about it, yeah? Just my personal reflection about how I'm combating this problem, actually acknowledging that this is just for fun, right? This is just a joke. Friends you like, yeah, friend to friend. But sometimes, if everybody around you tells you something, you tend to believe that that is the truth. Even if these people all around you are just making fun, or not making fun of you, but they're like just having a bit of fun on your expense. Not in the sense that they really believe that you're stupid, just that they're saying you're stupid, right? Because either you're obviously smart and they're saying like, ha, you're stupid because we think that you know that you're smart, which is not always the case. You can destroy someone's self-esteem that way, and it can be considered bullying, yes. But it could also be serious, unfortunately. But I've been a part of this, when it's not that serious and you don't think it's serious and you're just like, idiot. But you have to think about that this person that you're telling is an idiot can embody this spirit, right? Can embody this, what they're hearing all around them, and just think that, well, maybe I am a proper idiot. And that's not fun, because then you've basically destroyed someone's life. In order to move on, so that we're actually getting somewhere in this discussion, and me just not saying that you're all idiots for calling people idiots. Do you see the irony in that, by the way? Is that the practical example, the classical example. I even believe it's Albert Einstein who said it once, but don't quote me on that, unless it's right? But, source critique. Who said that, well, if you pick different animals and you put them into, if you have a monkey, you have an elephant, you have a fish, let's just say, right? Maybe you have a bit of a bird there as well. And you ask them all, please climb a tree. Now, you have a class of these different animals and you ask them to do one specific thing. It's kind of how school, it's mainly a critique towards the education system, that everybody doesn't learn the same way, everybody isn't, good at the same things as everybody else are, or that you're supposed to be, right? Everybody aren't good at those things. So what you end up having is a monkey who climbs the tree and think they're best in the world. They're at the top of the world because they managed to do the thing that they were tailored to do, They were made in a way to do this. They've been evolving in a way so that they can actually climb the tree. The elephant would probably do a piss poor job, and the bird would just probably fly all the way up, or use their claws to climb, but it would be tedious, now wouldn't it? Not to say that the bird or an elephant couldn't actually, or maybe an elephant is a bit of a stretch, but not to say that the bird wouldn't actually be really good at climbing after a while, but they could still use their wings. However, you do have the fish that's laying there, splashing on the ground, like, a fish out of water. And what is the context that I'm trying to put here, right? What is it that I'm actually trying to say with this? Well, it is that the fish will probably believe it's an idiot, or believe that it's totally not working, totally malfunctioning and out of practice, outside of society, really stupid, really wrong, really bad, because it can't climb the tree. Right? But what you don't put into consideration is that the fish would beat them all if you put them into water and ask them to swim 100 miles. Perhaps 100 miles is a bit expensive, but you get the gist that I'm trying to pull here. That depending on where they are, depending on which situation people are in, they're going to act differently, just like animals would, right? So if you ask all the animals to climb a tree, the monkey would do it, the fish would be pish posh. If you ask everybody in the classroom to do maths, some people would be really, really good at that. Others will be really, really bad. Does that mean that they're idiots? No, it doesn't. However, it still leads to this unfortunate social behavior that people are picking on them because they're not as good as everybody else. And I think that this is subconsciously the common understood understanding that everybody should be on an equal ground, right? That everybody is created equal, and it's just a matter of how much time you put in, right? But when it comes to maths, like one of my old friends used to say, you either know it or you do not. You either get it or you don't. And then it doesn't matter if you put in like 4 or 5 hours a day, or if someone else just put in 1 hour a day, or if someone didn't study at all, that were just a class and still managed to pull it off, because some people just understand it. But these people who are bad at math could be really good at something else. Maybe they're really good at skating, maybe they're really good at singing, maybe they're really good at climbing a tree. I don't know, but maybe they are really good at something else that the person who's really good at math isn't. However, people generally don't consider this, and they just think about the task at hand. So what is the task at hand in this case? The task at hand is completing a maths problem. And since someone is having a harder time completing the maths problem in relation to everybody else in class, they're getting picked on. And now it can be friendly, and I'm saying quote unquote friendly because, well, it isn't. It's probably going to be developed into bullying, or this person is going to embody the spirit, which means that it's rather bad either way. But it could be the case that people are picking on this person, and the people who are picking on them might not think like, oh, this is bullying. It could be as well that they could forcefully be bullying this person, which is unfortunate, but unfortunately it's happening. So it's something that we shouldn't close our eyes to. It's something that we should look into and actually develop a solution for a problem. However, it could be that we're just going to use a general he. Let's say Greg. Greg is the guy who's really bad at math. And Greg, his friends, they're going to make fun of him, but they think that they're funny with him. But they're telling him, you're a bit of an idiot, you're a bit slow. Now, if Greg, grows up his entire life, just hearing this, he will probably think, I'm a bit slow. I'm bad at maths. Even though he could be good at maths if he is, we're given the correct help, was given the right help. And this is something that's a huge problem, right? Especially when it comes to kids, I'd say, but grown-ups as well. And it's a huge problem in the educational system, and it's a huge management problem. Because why can't people just get along? Why can't people just be logical? And why can't people just express themselves exactly the way they feel so that this don't happen? And if they express themselves exactly the way they feel, people will start, just respecting that. Why can't that be the case? Well, because people aren't logical. If we were, it would be an easier time. But unfortunately, or rather fortunately for me, but unfortunate for society, this isn't the case, and people are having a really hard time dealing with this. That is why people like me are studying to become managers, so that we can actually help people with these kind of things. Now, interpersonal problems, along other things. We're studying for more than that. But, a manager in general is someone who's probably going to help with bullying in the workplace as well. It's one of the many tasks that you can have. It's just like a teacher. The teacher is going to teach, but the teacher is also going to teach, interpersonal connection and actually help with these interpersonal connections and prevent bullying and so on and so forth. Anyway, I'm rambling. We're going to the third thing that we're going to talk about today, and that is one of my mates, or rather, as I said, one of my acquaintances, from back home. And don't think that my rather happy voice is something, that have anything to do with about the seriousness of this topic. I truly believe that this is a really serious topic. I would like to sit down and discuss this in depth with the people who are the leading experts within the fields of, bullying, psychology. I would love that. I do believe that this is a problem. I would love to put in the time to actually solve it in some way or fashion. So yeah, I think that this is a serious problem. Anyway, we're moving in, so don't just judge me based on my tone. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. So we're moving into one of my acquaintances back home, who is, this is a rather sad story, because he was older than I was, way older. And we used to hang out I'm not to say hang out because that's the wrong word, but we spent some time together at times very fringely, so I don't have that good of an understanding of how he actually operates. But what I can say is those times that I met him, together with his friends, who were also my friends, so we kind of met together, when something went wrong or when something happened, they all blamed him. And I thought that was really strange. Now, I might add that at that point in my life, I was probably more worried about school and about girlfriends or boyfriends or guy friends or whatever you're gonna say, than anything else. But it's subconsciously just landed, right? So when I'm thinking back on it, I'm thinking that one of the things that were really odd, and that I kind of put time into at that time as well, we're talking like 5 or 6 years ago, was that they were all blaming this guy, and the weird thing was that he was just accepting it. And it didn't look like they were bullying him in the, what should we say, the regular sense. Is that even a thing? Is there such a thing as regular bullying? I don't know. I don't think so. It's probably individual cases. But it looked really strange, because it really looked like they were getting along, all of them. But as soon as something went wrong, he was, he took the blame, or he was given the blame, so to say. They put the blame on him. And it didn't even look like it was in a forceful way. It looked very natural, if you think of the dynamics of the group, it looked like it was very natural to put the blame on this guy, even though he wasn't even involved sometimes in the things that happened. But the thing was that when they put the blame on him, he was just like, yeah, that's my fault. I'm stupid. And I don't know if you realize how bad that statement really is. Because I met him once, or twice, I think. Anyway, once when something bad happened, and I don't really remember what it was, but I think that I perhaps knocked something over, and he apologized. Now, it's nothing wrong with apologizing, or maybe it is if it's not really your fault, then you shouldn't really apologize for something that you didn't do. However, rather apologize one time too much than one time too few, in my opinion. But this guy apologized, and he said, oh, it's my fault, and he really took the blame for it. And I was like, no, it's not. I knocked it over. And he's like, no, I'm stupid. And it wasn't in a way that made me feel like, this guy's shitting me, he's just pulling one of them old jokes on me. No, it was really serious. The guy was just like, yeah, I'm stupid. That's why it's my fault, and yeah, it's probably my fault. He just took it on himself. And this is why I'm saying, and I see that we don't have that much time left, but this is why I'm saying, and I hope that I can convey the point quickly, that people can embody the spirit and really become who people tell them that they are. And since this is a social problem, born of that, people are telling a person who they are, rather than them figuring out who they are. They're kind of putting them into a place where they're not supposed to be, I think. And I think that this has closed a lot of doors for this guy. And I tried to explain that, no, you're not. You can't really open a statement like that, because I think that you're equally as smart as everybody else on the planet, right? We all have equal potential. It's just a matter of finding what that potential is. So I don't think that you're stupid. But he was just like going on and on about it, and it felt like he was very secure in knowing that he was stupid, which is also something really bad. That he felt like, well, I'm stupid, I know that, I've taken that stance, what more can I do? That means that even though things go wrong, and I know that sometimes it's my problem, sometimes it's my fault, it's better to just take the fault all the time, because then I'm secure in knowing when things are happening. One can say that that's a problem with actually reading different personal signs and reading interpersonal situations, so that this person would just feel like, well, I'm more secure knowing that I know what I'm going to do in each and every single purpose of these things. Every time something happens, I know exactly what I'm going to do, because it's always my fault. I just assume that. But it's still this thing that people are assuming and embody the spirit of, well, I'm the stupid one, I'm doing something wrong. Even though they might not have been bullied, they might have had really good friends, but people might have just been picking on them as a fun joke, but over a long period of time. So without any of the people involved knowing it, it became kind of a psychological trauma. And I'm not a professor, I'm not an expert in it, so I can't really say that that is the case, that it's a psychological trauma developed over time. But I'm just saying that this is something that I've observed in my life, and I thought it was important enough to raise awareness of, right? In some way or another. So that was everything for me, mates. I'm pulling it short here in the end, which I wouldn't like to do. So I may be spending an entire video on it again, or maybe it's just a podcast topic, right? But I really feel like I want to talk about this for a long while, because it's really important. Anyway, mates, rather standing for your faults and say... anyway, cut that. Bye, mate. See ya.